So yesterday was Mother's Day, and I think I stayed distracted enough that it wasn't a terrible day. I got to spend time with my dad and my stepmom. We played golf, which was really nice. I ended up getting sick at the restaurant with gluten stuff, so the rest of the evening was a little bit upset, but not from being upset and heartbroken about our miscarriage. So that's something. So it was an interesting time preparing or not knowing how I was going to feel, and I ended up just feeling kind of numb to it. I tried to stay off social media for the most part, but kind of did have a scroll towards the end of the evening, which was okay. And of course, today, Monday, in Australia is more like Mother's Day in America. And I think I always find that a little harder for some reason. I don't know why, I just do. Maybe because I expect it on Mother's Day, but then when I'm not expecting it the next day or as much of it and there's more of it, yeah, maybe. But I mean, it's been okay. But tomorrow is follow-up with the doctor day. So Chad's home. He was supposed to be going away. He's not anymore. So he's going to be able to come with me. Our appointment's at 9:30. My class starts at 10:30, which means I'm going to be late for it and miss the past class, but that it is what it is. Technically, my cycle is due to start the day after, but I think it's just going to be way too stressful to try and do our transfer and me doing my exams and finishing assignments and getting to, I mean, it's not till day 9, but then having monitoring from day 9 onwards, which would leave me smack bang in the middle of my last 1 or 2 weeks of class. And I'm in the middle of trying my hardest to make plans to make things a little, not easier, but not quite as stress inducing. So I went to a GP last week on Friday to get a new lap plan for school, and then I had a meeting with my therapist, and so sent her the information to hopefully give me a reference letter to kind of help support what the GP has written, so that I can then apply for extensions for some of these assignments and to get my 2 exams deferred, not necessarily the tests. I think they're okay to get done in that week 13, but the 2 exams, I'm going to ask to have them deferred, which means they'll both be in the same week, but it'll give me extra time to prep for them and potentially have more focus. Just with everything going on, it's been too much to process. Yeah, the husband trying to scare me. Anyway, we drove separately because I need to then go to school. Jeez Louise. Oh, it's been a day. Just finishing up school. It's hot in the car. Take that off before I get driving. So, make sure I try and get you as straight as I can. Alrighty, so today had the appointment with the doctor, which I was really glad I ended up doing. I felt like I got the answers I was kind of looking for, and kind of some
I guess like his professional opinion, and that's really, I think, mainly what I was looking for. I didn't want to go ahead with potential subsequent rounds or doing this transfer without more information for us personally. And because of the way this clinic does things a little differently, he evaluates everything and then just kind of passes the information on to the nurses, and so they know. But at the other clinic, you kind of sat down after each round to sign off new papers for the next thing. That's not necessarily, I mean, we still sign all the papers and that kind of thing, but his plan is usually like done based off of what's happened and that, and if you have questions, you make an appointment. So I'm really glad I made the appointment. I talked to him about, do we kind of know why the implantation might not be working, and does he think that's more of an issue than just the embryo quality, because we did get pregnant and have before, but it doesn't seem to be happening and working. And he kind of explained the fact that we did get pregnant and had positive pregnancy reading is that the implantation did work. So implantation has happened for us, not just once through this particular round that we had, but also naturally we've had at least one, possibly two chemical pregnancies on our own. And so the fact that we have got pregnant, he doesn't necessarily think the implantation is alone the issue. So then I asked him about, you know, because I shared my concern about having an embryo that was not as good a quality as this one that went in, or one of the ones, because I had to put in this last time. And he's like, hang on a minute. And he went back and goes, no, the one that's in the freezer is the same quality as the one that you most probably got pregnant with this last round. So the embryo that we have frozen is the same level 2 embryo that we've had. So the fact that even though that first round at this clinic, so technically round 6, we had like such dramatic numbers, and yet a drop in the maturity, and the fertilization rate wasn't great and all of that, and yet we still ended up with one, in his mind, thought that, you know, it was a good looking embryo. And so maybe their criteria is a little stricter, or I don't know about freezing. They obviously have levels, and that if they think it's going to be a viable pregnancy, like it looks good, then they freeze it. So he said, no, it's the same quality as the one that went in for this last round. So that automatically just took down, I guess, the concerns about it not working down. And then we talked about, okay, hypothetically, if this didn't work, I guess I wanted to know his professional opinion. Does he just think it's a numbers game, or does he think it's worth us pursuing further possible treatment? And we talked about a couple elements in that, but he said, I really, I think it is a numbers game. He does not see anything in our history, in our compatibility, in the look of our embryos, anything like that. He goes, if I really thought that you were just like wasting money, time, resources, heart investment, and that, he's like, I would tell you to like, I would advise you that this may not be the best path for you guys. He goes, but I don't see anything that indicates it not working. And he goes, the reality is we've only had one round at this clinic that was kind of specifically catered to me based off of the results, you know? So taking into advisement, and he goes, the fertilization rate was much better, the quality looked better compared to the previous round, the numbers were much more controlled. We could go ahead with the fresh transfer, which was, you know, the hope. So he goes, if we get to that, you know, would say that it would be possibly worth you continuing to do. So going back to this frozen embryo transfer, we did talk about doing, I guess the informal name is like a scratch test. And so it's to do a scratch of the cervical lining and cervical uterine lining. And they do go ahead and test it, but there has been good results with pregnancies of rounds after the scratching done. Something about doing the small trauma to the lining does something to help the body on that very next round implantation taking. Because of our type of coverage that we have, and his services are covered, and so is the anaesthetist, this potentially could cost us nothing to do, or maybe a couple $100 if things aren't 100% covered with our, if we haven't met our deductible, but I'm pretty sure we have. So to go ahead and do this scratch, well, one, it's not going to hurt the round. And the only further data that's being collected is saying that when it comes to live births, there's not a huge difference between doing the scratch and not doing the scratch. But when it comes to like getting to the point of pregnancy, our doctor said, look, I'm happy to show you all the data. He goes, look, there is, it's not really controversy. It's more just like some doctors lean towards, some doctors lean against. He's like, personally, I think it's worth it, especially if I've done previous rounds. It's not going to hurt. And he goes, you might get pregnant. It might have nothing to do with the scratch, but it's definitely something for us to look at. So we've got that planned in. So my cycle is due to start in the next day or so, next 2 days. So it just can't be in that menstrual window. And it can't be like once the next cycle started. It has to be the cycle in between the next round. So because I technically could be starting our frozen embryo transfer this cycle as and when my period starts, just stress level wise with school, my exam windows, like all of that stuff, it's just too much. I don't think I would be giving myself the best chances with my stress levels by doing it now. So I was going to do it next cycle. So he's like, great, we can do the scratch in the meantime, and then we will go ahead. But it means you do need to do the transfer that following month. So that's the plan. We're doing our frozen embryo transfer next month, after, well, next cycle, after the scratch, after this cycle.